I'm in love with Alex Stone. She is a public defender in her early 30s. Alex Stone is driven by a passion to represent the voiceless, the people who are up against the power of the prosecution, who have no one on their side. And she's as passionate about that as she is about defending the rights under the Constitution for those people. She'll do anything to make sure that justice is done for her clients. A criminal defense lawyer has two nightmares, and they're pretty much interchangeable. You can have them both in the same night. You can have them one night after the other. And they're the opposite sides of the same coin. And the first is that you succeed in getting your client acquitted when your client is guilty. And that's what happens in the first book in this series, Stone Cold. And not only does her client, her guilty murderer client, go free, but then he goes on a killing spree. And she is just overwhelmed with the guilt of that, to such an extent that it drives her to join with a judge in a conspiracy, really, to undermine her clients, her most heinous clients, to make sure they go away for a long, long time. So she steps over that line, really onto the dark side, driven by this guilt. And then the flip side of that nightmare is that she represents someone who is innocent and may go to jail for life or be executed. And that's the other nagging nightmare of a criminal defense lawyer, and that's what she's faced with in the second book in the series, Chasing the Dead. In Chasing the Dead, Alex Stone is appointed to represent Jared Bell, a homeless veteran dealing with his own demons, who's charged with raping and murdering a prostitute. She's under tremendous pressure to railroad Jared straight to death row. And in spite of those risks to both her and Jared, she is intent on proving him innocent. One of the things that I hear people talk about and ask about is how authentically or effectively can a writer write about characters that are outside their personal experience, different gender, different race, different sexual orientation. And I always thought that was nonsense, that you couldn't do that. But I wanted to test that for myself. So I created Alex as a woman and as a lesbian. And I didn't want the fact that she was a lesbian to be any more significant than the fact that she was a certain height, a certain hair color. I didn't want it to be a book about a lesbian. I wanted it to be a book about Alex, and that happens to be her sexual orientation. So how does that inform her relationships and her interaction with other people? So I've tried to have as much accuracy about the criminal process and about the life of the public defender, not just procedurally, but what it's like being a public defender when 99% of your clients are guilty. And you're trying to make sure the system doesn't just grind them into dust.